and welcome to Jammu in Conversation with Siri. Veganism is a lifestyle that is raising eyebrows and curiosity in today's time. Today we have with us Malvika Kalra. She is an activist who is actively promoting veganism. Founder of Rehai, she has been working for the compassion and rights of animals for a very long time now. She's done various lectures in colleges and institutions to raise awareness on the issue. Hello Malvika, welcome to the show. What I have gathered is like you turned a vegetarian at the age of 15 and a vegan at the age of 49.
Yeah.
So I mean, how did it all begin for you? When was the moment you actually decided now vegan is the lifestyle you have to follow?
The reason I became vegetarian was because I read an article by Maneka Gandhi that many years back, and I realized that I don't want to be participating in any kind of animal abuse as per my food habits. The concept of veganism, of course, came to me at 49, just about 3 years back, is because I stumbled upon the cruelty in the dairy industry, and it got me thinking that the reason I became vegetarian now will apply to this also. And when I moved on to understanding the whole concept of veganism, it happened that it kind of covers all animals, whether they're used for experiment or for work, entertainment, products and food. So veganism that is how I got into the whole idea of veganism. Since I'd learned something new, I wanted to share it with everyone.
Any challenges came in from family or friends? Were they, I mean, easily accustomed to your newly adapted lifestyle?
Just the word vegan was new for everyone. In fact, we all didn't even know how to pronounce it correctly before. And of course, it was a new concept for everyone. Luckily, I didn't face any challenge, but yes, my friends kind of started staying away from me. Didn't want me to join them when they were on their dinners. But in my family, I didn't face any kind of a problem because my children also turned vegan alongside.
The same very year or?
Yeah, exactly. Just I think the same day we all just turned vegan.
And what about your husband?
My husband just stayed away.
Okay.
And, but that's okay because he doesn't really interfere with what we do.
Is it really possible to have a vegan lifestyle or a cruelty free world? Because the vegans I have come across, it is like endorsing the notion that slaughtering meat or eating meat is wrong. Then isn't it an irony, like in your family case also, that your husband is doing that while the rest of the family is not following veganism? So they can't be bad only because they aren't vegans, and you can't be good just because you are vegan.
Right.
So how do you see this scenario?
See, veganism is not a decision that you make. It has reasons why you go vegan. Vegan is a way of living, as even the word was coined by Donald Watson in 1944, and it is the idea that it follows is that the idea is of animal liberation. The same idea which comes from, like you and me have seen, women's liberation. So when you understand that animals have been exploited for the reason that they're vulnerable, just like women were exploited, or you see racism, casteism, sexism, any kind of exploitation which is based on the fact that the exploitation happens because of the vulnerability of the other individuals. So when you understand that, for that reason that we've exploited those who exist on earth with us, and animals are what we say are sentient beings, so you veganism becomes that path to attain animal liberation. And so it doesn't become like something that it's something that I need to do just personally to make a difference, but it is a movement where I want everyone to join in, and vegans hope that sooner or later there'll be a time when animals will be free from human exploitation.
Tell us about Rehai. You're the founder of Rehai Jammu, which aims at not treating animals as commodities. Tell us more about it.
Rihai was, like we know in Urdu, means freedom, and so again, freedom for animals is what I wish. The organization that I started working with, called FIAPO, was dealing mainly, their focus was on food. And like, the vegans have been known to just talk about food, and I didn't want to do that. So Rihai basically covers my idea of covering each and every animal, other than even the ones used for food.
Like you said, Fiapo is only covering the food aspect, but Rihai is doing a step ahead of it. But in medicines, in say, we see women carrying, leather bags and all that stuff. I mean, how far is it possible to convince people to actually, follow what Rihai is doing?
Like I said, once you there are 5 steps that I introduce to the children. The first goes with the fact what we call is speciesism, which is based on the same concept like casteism and racism. So this is where you exploit different species just because they're different from you. Then you understand that the vulnerability, like I mentioned before, and the sentience value. When it understands, you start understanding that all living beings feel pain. So you kind of get used to that idea. Then you get to know that there is a concept which we say we bring out our nature of empathy. So empathy we normally have only towards humans, and we want everyone to increase their circle of compassion and include non-humans in them. And once you attain all that, animal liberation is something that you all wish for to happen. So that is where we are heading towards.
What about the nutrient value that comes from the food? Like veganism also says don't drink cow's milk or buffalo's milk. Instead opt for soya milk. So I mean, what about the B12 and calcium deficiency?
Domestication is when we actually started consuming animal-based products on a regular basis. That's when we domestic. It's only 10,000 years back. So before that, humans have evolved till that much time without actually having animal-based products. No cow in the wild would have ever given milk to a human, or we couldn't have taken all that. So what happens is that with the domestic, if you notice, it is only within these few years that the diseases have increased. So where does cancer and all the heart problems and all come from? So if you see that, no one is telling us, because it kind of suits a lot of people to keep you in the dark. These are businesses, they have to be carried out. Doctors, the pharmaceutical companies, they all benefit from a sick person. So if you look at it, like in case of milk, like you're saying, humans think they're very intelligent, and so they drink milk of another animal. But in the other world, no animal drinks milk in adulthood, and no animal dares to drink milk from another animal. So it's not natural. The fact that cow's milk or any milk is made for the same species. So it has difference in nutrients of the value. So when humans drink another animal's milk, they get things like, lactose intolerance is a normal thing which is very common. And then you get things like, stomach bloating and acne and things because you're trying to drink. Our conditioning has been such that we would drink a cow's or buffalo's milk, but today if I gave you a cat's or a dog's milk, you won't have it. So we domesticated cows just because we could think they produce milk. But the main thing I would like to tell you is that no cow or no animal, no mother gives milk more than what its baby needs. So the milk that you drink today has come from genetically manipulated cows. They've been made to produce milk far, far in excess of what they need for their baby. So nothing about milk is natural. And studies are now proving that, that osteoporosis is coming from the consumption of milk, and a lot of cancers are coming from there.
But what about, say, if we go with vegan diet only, say wheat is a vegan diet, right? But even in today's times, the way wheat is produced, animals are used in that process also. So what do you have to say for that?
I go strictly by the Donald Watson definition of veganism, where he used the words to the extent possible and practicable. So obviously we cannot eliminate all kinds of use for animals. We can, as far as we can, at least the consciously wherever we can, we should avoid. And there are a lot of ways we can do that. And if animals are used for the things that they use, that say maybe for, like you said, for production of crops, the fact that they are only done in third world countries or developing countries because the farmers are poor and they cannot afford. So that kind of, if you see that if we were to progress and make farmers and people who use animals for transport, if they were well off, economically well off, even they would have switched on to machines.
So you mean economic inequality is the reason for everything?
Sure, of course, because all the work which is done by people who deal with animals, like butchers, people who work in the canneries, people who carry out every work with the animals. If you see, they all belong to the poor strata. None of us at our level would want to work with animals, because if nothing else, they smell a lot.
What about we as vegetarians have limited food options whenever we are traveling abroad, or say to remote areas, or for that example anywhere. Vegans have more limited options. So what if you're deserted on a island and there's no food? What about that survival then? Would you be opting veganism then also?
If there was no survival then there wouldn't be any animals either there, right? Because there wouldn't have been any food for them.
No,
and if I was to find say a goat sitting next to me and we both got stranded on an island, then I'll be happy that both of us starved to death or something like that, no, I wouldn't be able to eat the animal.
What do you think that vegans need the help with the most to stay vegan? I mean, there are a lot of celebrities who opted for veganism and
Right.
then they just quitted that and they're again back. They're more comfortable with being a vegetarian rather than a vegan. So what are the challenges that are to be dealt the most?
Every time you just need to when you pick up a piece of meat, or you eat an egg, or you pick up a glass of milk, all you have to remember is close your eyes for a second and remember the animal who died for that and tortured for it. And so that kind of just did not make you be a part of any kind of animal cruelty then. And choices are unlimited. You have substitutes. By default, 90% of our food is anyway vegan. Like in the morning, whatever you eat, your lunch, your dals, your sabzi, your everything is so vegan that if you were to eliminate one product out, if a vegetarian was just to eliminate dairy, seriously, he's not going to miss out on anything, because there are ample substitutes.
And there are, you can be slim and beautiful too.
That's no guarantee, because vegans also eat a lot of vegan junk food.
Okay, we have that.
Yes.
We have that option.
Yes.
Any last message you'd like to share with the viewers?
I would say drop your guard. Don't get ego into it. If you are part of any kind of exploitation, whether it's humans or animals, we have to evolve at some point of time and become better human beings. And I know it can be very tough, but it's a challenge. And it's time now that we look at non-humans and let them live in this world as nature has intended them to be.
Hope you've given all the viewers a new way to look at it, to look at veganism, and quenched all the curiosity that builds around veganism. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Like Malvika also said, it's the path that you choose. Sometimes it will take time. It's not necessarily you opt for veganism. With Rehive and promoting veganism, Malvika has surely started a social justice movement. Now it's for you to decide to join the movement. Thank you, take care, and God bless.